So you're the guy at CA House that everybody hopes they don't have to come and see, but they thank goodness when they do
I
need you.
usually get the whole idea. Well, my buddy said he could fix it. I'm like, oh, and then you just shake your head and like, give it to me now.
One of the biggest questions I wanted to ask you
Okay.
is, what is a problem you see people bring into you that's common that could be prevented? It could
Where
be
they keep their guitars,
where they keep their
because
guitars.
I and I tell this story all the time. And I go, well, and I don't understand. I kept it in the case. I'm like, all right, let me give you my analogy on the case. I was like, we're sitting around a campfire and you play something I don't like, and I pick up your guitar and throw it in the fire. What happens? And, well, it burns. I'm like, okay. I said, same scenario. You play something I don't like. I'm going to pick up your guitar and throw it in the fire. But before I do, you put it in the case, and then I throw case and all in the fire. He goes, oh, okay. So, so that's my. There is no insulative property or anything about a case. It's there for
Yeah.
I'm
portability.
just gonna hide under here for
I'm
the
like,
rest of the podcast.
holy cow.
I'm really guilty of that. I'm really bad at
You
that.
are not the only one, trust me. And but it happens, and it's some people can't help where they keep stuff. I mean, and the other thing is, I'll like, okay, so where do you keep your guitar? Well, in the house. Okay, how about more specific? And they go, well, keep it upstairs. I said, that's not a good place.
Yeah.
I was like, heat rises, especially in the wintertime, winter, cold, dry, and then you turn the heat on. I was like, you're gonna kill a guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like I said, he got on me. My dad got on me. I was fortunate because last year we played our last gig, and then I'd gotten sick, and both my electric and my acoustic bass was out in our garage,
Mm-hmm.
unheated,
Oh
unheated
no.
garage
I
all
yelled at
winter.
him.
And by the time I was able to feel better, and I went and I was just like, I might have lost both my guitars. And luckily, on both guitars, they were off by half a step. I got very lucky.
Very.
Very, very lucky.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, because that's going to be dry, and wood is like your skin; it's porous. So
Yeah.
if you haven't got any, your skin is dry, it's going to shrink, and if it shrinks and the frets don't,
Yeah.
there they go.
so
So
luckily, I dodged a huge bullet, but I learned the hard lesson the easy way, I guess you could say.
learning the hard lessons.
Yes.
Yeah, I tell people all the time that's starting out guitar, because I'll probably teach a couple of students, and I'll say, as like cool as it sounds to play around a campfire with your friends, you get 5 minutes in, your guitar actually starts sweating. The next morning, it's going to be unplayable.
Right.
Well, it's like Gage come in today.
Oh,
And I
did
know
it?
Gage has been on the show, and he goes, "Man, I don't know what happened with that last show. That guitar just wouldn't stay in tune at all. I think I was using the heavy picks." And like, well, yeah, but I said you were outside. The guitar is sweating. Like I said,
Yeah.
that thing's going to go every which way.
Right.
And like,
Yeah.
yeah, but I think it's the picks. I'm like, okay, well, I mean, it could be, but
Maybe the picks and it's 100% humidity.
yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, like, if you're having to like, bring out your guitar, it's
Yeah.
probably not a good thing.
I mean, going from a dry AC in his car, going from outside
yeah.
humidity.
But
That's we played toe tapping Tuesdays down at Wheeling Park, and that was my problem. It was plus I have a Les Paul.
yeah, I ran into that. We the band I play in Sure Shot, we played Woodsfield. We played the Monroe Theater,
Uh-huh.
and
Oh yeah.
and they had the AC in, but it wasn't hooked up yet, and it was sweat was just pouring. I'm like constantly tuning the guitar, just trying to get to stay in. It was a nightmare. So
And Sure Shot's got some dates. So
we got a ton of dates.
So this episode will be coming out Tuesday. So this
Okay.
weekend, kind of the shows won't be covered, but
this
following.
Yeah, this weekend we only have the one on Friday, which is in Woodsfield. Believe it or not, it's at the Woodsfield VFW, which we love playing. And then I'm in another band called Funkbilly that plays Saturday night. I'm thinking it's at Clear Tavern.
Okay.
So two different bands. We get mistaked a lot of times. Well, don't you know how to play this? I'm like, well, no, that's the other band.
Yeah.
Okay, well, but no, I'm having fun in both. It's great.
Yeah, it's fun playing live.
Oh yeah, and especially when Sure Shot is like, we don't have a set list like we go by. Okay, we're gonna go this, this, this. Of course, Gage doesn't do that either. But
No. Right, yeah.
But I mean, we don't really. I mean, I'm singing 90% of everything, so it's just like, okay, what am I going to do next? And then like, boom, 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 and and we'll joke in between times. We try to entertain, and it gets sometimes out of hand, but it's all right. It's people seem to gravitate towards it, and it's a good time.
Are you playing guitar in both bands? Okay.
Guitar in both bands. It's really weird if you ask me like 3 years ago, well, what are you playing the most? Well, I'm playing bass all the time. And the next, well, I'm playing drums a good bit. And like now it's the last couple of years, it's been guitar a lot. And I played drums last week for Punching Oswald, which was a blast.
Oh, yeah.
I love playing with them guys. We had to dodge the not so friendly skies, but it was cool. And then I played bass with you guys like the weekend before that. Nice. So
T-Bone is the #1 hired gun of the Ohio Valley.
Yes. Man.
Speaking of hired gun, didn't you tell me about a documentary called Hired Guns where they were talking about guitar players that would play for pop bands and went on and
it was Jeremy. I just went blank. He was a guitarist for Five Finger Death Punch, but he played for Mandy Moore and Hillary Duff.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's like John Five.
Yeah.
John Five played with Katie Lang before he even got with what had been Rob Zombie after that.
Right.
And then the solo stuff, and now doing Motley Crue.
It's an awesome document. I probably watched it 3 times just because it's entertaining, and you pick up so much stuff that you might have missed on another one, and how they just
I saw one back in the day. I kept up with Shrapnel Records, and you'd have all these speed metal players and everything like that. And then it was really freaky, like to see them playing another band, because like there was a guy named Greg Howe. And the next thing I know, I'm watching TV and there's Enrique Iglesias and Greg Howe's his guitar player. I'm like, that doesn't sound anything like that. And Nuno's been playing with Rihanna and when so it's
But Extreme just put out a new album, didn't they?
Yeah, and it is awesome.
Is it?
It is.
I heard like 2 tracks of it, but you can't go wrong with Nuno. I mean, it's just
he goes off the chain. It's
Gary's
so good.
voice is still right there, and it's a good one.
Yeah, I think Gary Sharon is like 60. I think.
At least,
wow.
At least 60.
I kind of felt bad when he jumped in after Sammy.
Oh yeah,
Van Halen, because that was just an oil and water kind of thing. But
well, and then they tried to get him. I think they tried to get him to sing more like Sammy. Said, "Hey, well, Sammy's like gone, and like, we get this guy to sing like Sammy." And he tried. It's not his forte.
Right.
Just let him sing like Gary. It's like it'd been better. But
I saw that. I don't know how true they were, but there was rumors that somebody's going to try to replace Vince Neil for the rest of like their tours. Which I mean,
how do you think they posted that? Anybody by chance know any Motley Crue lyrics? Please.
I would have thought at this point the band would just ask, like, do you care if we just do full track all like with vocal and just
shout at the devil, "You're hired."
Jason Hook was the guitar player.
Oh, okay.
Think of it. It just came. Jason Hook is the one. And then the other document, there's so many you guys probably could list too. There's one, it's called Sound Studio.
Oh yeah. Okay.
That's another.
Is that Sound City?
Sound City. That's
Sound
it.
City.
But,
okay.
The studio where they had that Neve console. There were 3 in the world.
I saw a preview of that.
And didn't Dave Grohl?
Dave Grohl got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he took it back to his studio, and I think since then the Foo Fighters, naturally they use that board, but they still record reel to reel. They don't do anything digital.
And well, they tried to get all the people that recorded on that board or something at some point to like do stuff with it. I know there was. I don't know if it was the same album or not. It probably was a later album, but there was a Foo Fighters had an album called Concrete and Gold, and I remember they were talking about Dave Grohl, and he says, "And out of nowhere, I get a call from Paul McCartney." I'm like, he goes, and Paul's like, "Hey, can I be on your album?" And then Dave's like, "What am I going to tell him? No." So it's like, come on over. Yeah, we're recording now. Like, so he comes over and he says, is everything ready? Yeah. He said, we're doing this song called, I think it was Sunday Rain. And he goes, cool. He said, can I play drums on it? And Dave goes, what am I going to tell him? No.
Yeah.
And so,
That's how. Sorry, Taylor.
so Paul ends up playing drums on it. Taylor ends up singing it, and Dave plays guitar, and everybody else did. And it was awesome. It sounded like a cross between a Beatles and Eagles tune. It was,
And on that
killer.
Sound City, they do a jam with the closing credits going, and McCartney's playing a cigar box guitar, and he is just tearing it up. I mean, it's so cool to watch, and the song is phenomenal. But I'm kind of partial. I mean, I really like Dave Grohl.
Yeah.
But
We were just seeing me and Kevin Brosh at Works the Story. He's also the
Shout
drummer.
out to Kevin.
Shout out to Kevin.
Another hired gun.
Yeah. He's also the drummer in Sure Shot.
Right.
So, but me and Kevin were talking, and they were giving the top 25 richest rock stars or whatever. And Paul McCartney's one at $1.2 billion. It's just like, okay. And nobody's like close.
Close, yeah.
It's like,
they did a concert on the Mall. It was years ago. It was an HBO special, and they recorded it on the Mall in D.C.
okay.
And after serving, I belonged to, it's called IAVA, Iraq and Afghanistan Veterans.
Okay.
So we were able to get there, and they had kind of like this VIP thing for us. They ate dinner and everything, but we were backstage, and they had like Metallica and Foo Fighters and Zach Brown, and I mean, just all these big acts. They cannot do like one or two songs. Out of everybody, now there's only one guy that I would never like. Now, if he was on fire, I wouldn't pee on him. But everybody was cool, but Dave Grohl was so. I mean, he went above and beyond. He shook everybody's hand, and that's his hometown, and I got a lot of respect for him after that point.
Yeah.
After that, but
I mean, to me, him and Foo Fighters are one of the only bands keeping rock alive at this
Yeah.
point. So,
Right. Yeah.
uh,
There's a funny video I just saw recently of him where a bunch of fans were trying to get him to sign a bunch of autographs, and he's like, "I know what you're trying to do. You're going to scalp these. You're going to go online." So he gives like this speech to like this crowd. Why he's not going to sign autographs, and he goes, "One more thing, see ya," and just tears off like behind
Perfect.
yeah, he was really, like I said, Zach Brown was great. The Black Keys, those two guys were just the same way.
Yeah, they're Akron. Aren't
Yeah.
they? Akron, Ohio guys.
Yeah.
I know when I play with Punching Oswald, they end up doing one or two of their tunes. They'll do Gold on the Ceiling, or they'll do Lonely Boy.
Yeah.
And it's fun. It's fun
Yeah,
stuff
Lonely
to play.
Boys. No, I'm gonna jump in here with you
Sure.
playing drums.
Yeah.
I was telling Razor the other day, and we talked before we started. I played drums in my dad, Bill LaRue, and Kevin Dennis. Shout out to both of them. I played drums for them, and then like I put it away because I started playing bass with Razor, and at that time it was Matt, and I just pulled the kit out and set it up like last week. So we're talking 4 years maybe. So set the kit up, walked away from it for 4 years, and just in case anybody would think, that's not riding a bike.
Oh, no, it's texting me.
And-
Yeah.
I sat behind that kit, and I took pride that there was, some Zeppelin tunes that I knew, religiously. I'd forgot them, and then on top of that, I think I played 2 songs. I was out of breath. My forearms were cramping up. My
I got
Lord.
one. This has been I think it's been a couple months ago, but I had a 3-gig weekend. I was playing Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And I told somebody, I said, I'm playing 3 gigs this weekend, 3 different places, 3 different bands, 3 different sets of music, 3 different states, but 2 different instruments. And then they go, okay. And so I played with Sure Shot on a Friday night. I think I was at Golden Ridge Saloon out in Dallas. And then Saturday I was at Duffy VFW with Funkbilly. Sunday comes along, and I'm in Avella, PA at the bullpen.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm playing from 3 to 7. I'm playing drums as a sub gig in for Easy Street. And I hadn't played drums in a year probably. And I go there, and it's hot, and I'm thinking, okay, what are you going to throw out at me? And because they do it every time.
Yeah.
They say, okay, we're going to do like 35 tunes. They'll give you 50.
Right.
They're going to do 30 off the list, and then they'll add 5 that wasn't even there. And I know this because I got ready to start playing one, and Greg Molnar looks
shout
back
out
at me and
Greg.
goes, I know this is number 5. I'm like, so, but I remember I got done with that gig, and I put my stuff away, and I got home, and I didn't want to move. And then I tried to move and got a cramp in this leg. And then I was trying to stretch it out, then got the cramp in this leg. And I had to get my wife to try to help me up off the floor. She goes, "You're just getting too old for this." I'm like, "No." I'm like, "I'm fine." So,
Thank you. That makes me feel so much better that it's just not me. And like, it's like, what? Like,
no.
I went to do a fill and it just cramped up and I just couldn't. It's like, what's going on?
Just using muscles you haven't used.
Yeah,
that long.
it's real good when you get a cramp in the ball of your foot and you're kind of like.
And luckily, I was telling Razor, I said, hey, I think before I set the thing up, I think I want to get a double bass pedal. If I'd have started to try that, I'd have died. My wife would have just come down and found me in the basement. I'd been all. I'd have looked like Stephen Hawking would have looked better when he died than when she was on me.
Call the squad. No, but yeah, I mean, it's. I don't. Somebody asked me today. They said, "How is it that you play all these instruments and like you do it like proficiently enough that you can go and sit in and play?" I said, "I have no clue." I was like, I just started off doing that, and me personally, whenever somebody gives me, because Gage is giving me stuff, and everybody gives me a list of songs. I've got folders on my computer with names of bands. I've got set lists. I've got songs.
I've seen those folders.
And I've got them in the keys that they do them in. And I've tried to even do the arrangement because I think I played, I can't remember who it was, but I know I played with, I want to say I played with Logan Wojcik.
Okay.
And they were doing Dixieland Delight. And I had to play the same song the next night.
Key change.
Yeah.
One band did the key change. The other band didn't. And it was really weird because, you're dun, 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 and then you move up in the key.
Right.
And they'd move up in the key. Then the one wouldn't stay there. He'd go right back to the G or whoever it was. I can't remember what it was. And I'm like, and you have to be on your game and like try to write notes and whatever else. But, yeah, I mean, you have to be, I don't know any other way to be because some people go, well, you've done this before. I'm like, yeah, but if I don't focus on it or whatever, you'll lose it. And it's just like, so I have to keep doing that.
Well, I laugh because with 2x4s, when we do the acoustic karaoke,
okay,
my dad always does Dixieland Delight. Yeah. And before he starts, he looks and says, "Don't forget the key change."
It's like, and Gage has him like, "I know, Bill, I know."
And I'm like, we have the sheet music right here.
Yeah,
that's what we got. Yeah.
It's like now it's on a tab, and you hit it, and I got I've been using a new app now, so I got all these lyrics and the chords are right there. You go, well, why can't you do it without the lyrics? I'm like, you really want me to try it without the lyrics? Like, no.
It's one thing if you're playing with, one band, the set list inside of how it's played, but like you said, like it's tough just to wing it.
Yeah, I mean, and with sub gigs or whatever, and even in Sure Shot and stuff, we don't do the same thing all the time. And, at some point 3 weeks down the road, we're like, we ain't done this song in a while. I'm like, no, do you remember how to play it? Not sure. Okay, we'll just go on, we'll try it.
Yeah.
So
that was when I filled in for Crazy Horse. I had maybe you sent me a set list, and then Michael sent me a different set list, and then I get there and they gave me a set list, like a third set list had none of the songs that were the same, and they're like, "We're probably not going to follow this one." I'm like, "I gotcha." And like,
then you got Wyatt.
Yeah,
like Wyatt is like the little brother I never had that it bugs me all the time. And he says the same thing to me every time. And he knows this. He goes, "Dude, we going to do Stranglehold tonight?" "Dude, it's Crazy Horse. We don't need to do..." "No, we need to do Stranglehold." And then he'll start playing it on the fiddle. And then like, he did that to me one night. Sure Shot was playing down at the Alpine. And he comes right up there, "Dude, you got to do Sure Shot. You got to do Stranglehold." And takes off. I'm like, so I ended up doing Stranglehold to make him happy. And he goes, "I didn't think you'd do it." I'm like,
so here's a question I just came up with. What chart-topping band, if you had to fill in for, do you think you would have the best time? As far as like knowing their
like out now, or
of
just
all time,
of all time.
At any point in history, if a band called you up and said, "We need you for this concert,"
It. I know this is going to sound somewhat cliche, maybe, but Kiss would
Kiss?
probably be my first
Okay.
band that I would think of because that's what I mean, I didn't. I started getting into them when I was in fourth grade, so it's like, and they were the first. That was the first album I ever bought. Yes, I bought vinyl. So,
Listen, my first Kiss album that I got was on 8-track, so
which was the first one?
Dynasty.
See, my first one was Love Gun. And then after that, my mom was like, "Well, that's not too bad, you know." We'll go. So every time my mom would go away on a vacation, she would bring me back another Kiss album. So,
Nice.
so-
Mine was because my parents did Columbia House, where you could get 12
Oh,
8-tracks for a penny.
for a penny, yeah. Oh,
And
man.
they picked everything. My dad was like, "What do you want?" And I searched through and I was like, "Whatever Kiss one I can find." And it was like this one. I'm like, "I'll take it." And I still remember when that showed up, and I put that in and played it. And then my first Kiss vinyl was Kiss Alive.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
My first vinyl was Love Gun. I think my mom went to Florida like a month after that, and I got Dressed to Kill.
Nice.
I loved that album. And then Christmas, she got me Alive too. So it's like, boom, 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 it was going right along.
Yeah. And what's,
Go ahead. I've seen them like 4 times. So
I think I'm 7 or 8 times.
Oh,
And which
so-
was great is
Yeah.
my first really big rock show was a Kiss show.
see, my first big show that I went and seen when I was a kid was REO Speedwagon.
Nice.
And I saw them at the Wheeling Civic Center. And this will tell you about when it was. The opening band was Survivor, as they came out with Eye of the Tiger. That'll tell you how long ago.
1983, right? 82, 83?
82, 83.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was interesting.
Yeah,
Did
I
they
saw-
wrote that song for that movie, right?
Yeah,
For the Rocky movie?
Yeah.
I saw Kiss at the Syria Mosque.
Oh,
Oh,
gee.
wow. Wow.
I remember when they did the reunion thing and they were put back on the makeup because I saw them without the makeup 2 other times before that, and I went and seen them twice that year on the makeup. One time was at Pittsburgh Civic Arena, and the opening band was Degeneration, and I'm like, okay, that's great, guys. Thank you.
Yeah.
Go on with yourself. The next one was when I went and seen them at Wheeling Civic Center, and Power Man 5000 opened up.
I was there. I was at that one.
And I saw that, and I ran out and bought the CD. I think it was Mega Kung Fu Radio.
Yeah.
And I
Exactly
thought, I'm
what
going
it
to go
was.
buy this.
Yeah,
So-
I saw Kiss. We talked about that. The acts that used to be at Wheeling
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Civic Center.
We were talking about this other day. The first band I saw was REO and with Survivor. I saw REO again there with Richard Marx opening up. I know.
Wow.
And then one of the ones that really caught me off guard, I went and seen Foreigner back in '84, and the opener was Joe Walsh.
Oh,
during the
wow.
I was
Confessor
at that
tour.
one too.
Yep, that was awesome.
That's interesting.
Joe Walsh floored me for sure.
And you probably get the same thing and we had talked about this, shout out to my friend Winston. Like, he was just blown away because he was young when, he's like, so, like, you remember, like, when Appetite for Destruction come out? And Injustice for All?
Oh, yeah.
And, yeah, man. I was there when we went into National Record Mart and bought the CDs when they dropped. So, yeah, it blows their mind. It like, you were there with those classic bands? Well, they're not that classic ones.
I laugh
Pump
when
the Brakes.
I laugh when you say that about going out and buying a CD because my buddy would like, "Hey man, why don't you buy this one? This doesn't sound good." I'm like, "Are you sure?" I'm like, "Yeah, buy this one." It ended up being Brittany Fox. It wasn't exactly.
Girl school.
I'm like, "Oh no!" I'm like,
Yeah, I had that Trickster. I had Trickster.
That was the cookie cutter era.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because I saw the Scorpions.
Oh, yeah.
Scorpions, Great White, and Trickster at Mellon Arena in Pittsburgh. So, like Meatloaf said, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. So,
Yeah. The shocker for me, me and a buddy of mine, we're Kiss fans. We were going to go see because Ace Frehley was opening up, and I didn't realize who the opening band, the headliner was. And when Ace was the opener, so we're trying to get there, we got lost, and then we got there. I think we saw the last 3 or 4 songs, or whatever. So I was like, we'll stick around for the headliner. And I heard and went, oh my god, it was Iron Maiden.
Wow.
And it was made during the Seventh Son of the Seventh Son tour. And I lost my mind. I was like, why have I not listened to this more?
There's been I've been fortunate, and the other good thing was when I come home from college, I worked at Star Lake Security,
Oh, yeah.
so I got to see like when hell freezes over. I was in the pit working security, and I got to see some fantastic bands, and like basically got paid to watch them. So I really lucky, really lucky.
See, I haven't got to see. My son still has not seen his first concert ever.
Really?
He says the first concert I want to see is when I'm in it. I'm like, okay.
Okay, well,
But my son's an artist. He goes by the name B Cupid, BQPID,
Shout out B Cupid.
B Cupid. So
and please don't nobody call CPS because he hasn't taken his son to a concert yet.
yeah.
That's criminal.
At one point he was really into Disturbed. And I wanted to take him, and so that didn't happen. And then he was really into Pop Evil, and I was like, I could get balcony seats at the House of Blues or whatever. I'm like, and then that didn't happen either. So it's like,
I was lucky enough for my daughter. It come full circle for me because my first big rock show was Kiss.
oh man,
Now, technically, she was at concerts, but her first big rock concert, I took her to see Kiss in Cleveland. So minus the Jonas Brothers and Hannah Montana, which I that doesn't count.
yeah.
But yeah, so it was great when just to see the look on her face when they come out and they start announcing you wanted the best, you got the best.
Oh yeah.
The curtain drops, the pyros go off, and
Oh, yeah.
she just lit up like it was her
I mean,
birthday.
because if you're going to see a concert with all the visuals and
Oh, yeah.
everything, that's the one.
Yeah, but they luckily we'll be around when they do their final reunion tour, which is like
It's going to last 7 years.
I still have like 9 times we can see them come through the area.
So, got any new items at the house?
We got any new items?
How about this question?
Uh-oh.
If Steve came up to you tomorrow and said, Tim, you've been such a good worker lately, pick any instrument in this place for free to have.
Kazoo. Oh,
What's
man.
when you're going through work, what's just been staring back at you?
Oh boy.
Tempting you.
I'll get into what I had just got not too long ago, but I mean, we just started getting Gibsons back in.
Yeah, okay, you told me about that.
So there is a Gibson Gold Top that I would love to have. I've always had this thing about. I mean, I've never been a Les Paul player. You, I know, have.
Yes.
I've worked on it. So, but I seen you playing. Well, then, like last year, we got my brother-in-law. My brother-in-law's in the Army. He's like 23 years in now.
Oh wow.
And but we got him an Epi Les Paul Cherry Sunburst.
Okay.
He's a huge Slash fan. He loves Slash.
Yeah.
So and he was loving it and everything. So my sister decided, I'm going to get you a guitar for an early Christmas present. And there was a used one on the wall, and it was an Epi Les Paul Traditional Pro 4.
Okay.
They only made it 1 year, and it was this wine red matte finish. Felt really good. I was like surprised, and because I never played Les Pauls. The only other Les Paul I ever had, I think I had a Hondo 2 Les Paul when I was 17, and I took my senior picture with it. So so I get this thing. I have not stopped playing that thing. That thing,
Really?
I've taken it out on every gig. So now the Sure Shot does a different tuning, does a half step down than Funkbilly. So I'm like, okay, I got to tune this down here. Okay, now I got to bring it back to work. I tune this, and I got to do the adjustments. Now I'm going back out. So I thought, I'm going to just get another guitar. So I got another one, same year, but now it's a Pacific Blue. Now I'm trying to like pull stuff off of it and try to redo it. So, okay, I need to get it better. I need to be more juiced up than the other one. So, but no, if I had to pick one thing, I've never had a Gibson. I probably would take the Gibson. I'd probably take the Gold Top
Okay.
for sure.
When did they start getting Gibsons back in?
Oh, let's see. Probably 2-3 months ago.
2-3 months. Okay.
Yeah, it's not been very long.
Okay.
There was the whole COVID thing, and it was hard to be a dealer. And I know a lot of people felt that because they couldn't. There wasn't enough supply for demand.
Right.
So now they got it up to that point. Now we could become a dealer again. We could get, all the stuff that we want, and they're definitely selling. So
How good?
No, go ahead.
I was going to ask, how bad was the wait during COVID to get? Because I went in one time. I was talking to Kevin. Shout out Kevin again. He was saying that like we don't know when they're coming in, but we do know that they're being made by the masters because they laid off all the journeymen and apprentices.
right,
So he said if you can get one, it's going to be good quality, but you're going to be waiting.
the wait was ridiculous.
Really?
I mean, I know at one point, like we carry Martins.
Mm-hmm.
I know it was what was it 2021. They said we wouldn't see one till 2023. It was absolute craziness. We ended up seeing it a little bit before that, but they really wasn't off that much.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because you would think that all those companies would try and make their workers essential workers because everybody's home.
Yeah.
The sales would have went through the roof because somebody would have grabbed a hobby.
You
Yeah.
know what sold the most during COVID?
Kazoos.
I would love to think so. Only one person could play them. No, the one thing that sold was ukuleles.
Really?
Ukuleles sold like
Huh.
hotcakes there. We couldn't keep them.
I have a brand new Fender, not a ukulele.
Mando?
Yeah, I got a brand new Fender mandolin still sitting in the case, sitting on the book on how to play it.
Hey, this is how to play it. Can't wait till I get it out of the box.
Yeah, that didn't pan out, but I mean, I will pull it out. But do you? I mean, I'm sure, but how? If I'm sure it's been harder, but how hard is like someplace like CA House? Because you saw like everybody else in the area, as far as retailers, they just fell by the wayside. You guys have been staying strong, but yet,
Yeah.
on the other hand, everybody can jump online, musicians, friends, Sweetwater, and and everything else. And how tough does that make it
That
for
makes.
you guys?
I mean, that's basically our main competition is
Is online.
stuff like Sweetwater and musician friends and stuff like that. But the nice part is, and you try to reiterate that to people. It's like anybody can go buy a car online anymore, and it's like, well, why would you not want to test drive it or something?
Right, yeah.
And let us try to match price or whatever. And, oh no, I'll just order it from whoever, and they'll send me like bit of honey and taffy and whatever with it. So,
Right, yeah.
So, but no, but it's coming around. I mean, it's a lot. I mean, we were able to stay pretty strong the whole time. But yeah, I mean, once people get, oh, I can get the guitar in my hands, and I can, and like, oh, this is cool. But then you've got ones that come in and they will purposely go and try it out. Then they'll go buy it online. And like, you're missing the point.
Yeah.
You try it, that one feels good, and then you're going to go get another one.
Yeah.
Because I ran into that today. I mean, I don't remember the guy's name. He bought a guitar at another store, and in the Pittsburgh area, and but he bought an Epi Les Paul custom Silverburst,
Okay.
and evidently from what he told me, he said, "Man, I played this thing. It played good and everything. Then they gave me one out of the box." I'm like, "Why didn't you just get the one that you played?" And it's just like, well, no, they were giving me a brand new one out of the box. This was like on the floor. I'm like, I mean,
Yeah.
but you like that one. So he brings it in to me, and one thing led to another, and all the frets were uneven, and it's, and
Yeah.
now I told him, I said, maybe you should take this back and do. So he does. He ends up, I think he ended up taking it back, and he ended up buying a guitar from us. So it's like
Well, that's a
win-win for everybody.
Right,
No,
yeah.
I'm
Especially
kidding.
like you said, like a lot of musicians know that like when it feels good, then that's it's got a like there's a mesh there
Yeah.
between you and that guitar, or
Right.
you and that bass, and it just I think just people that want to pick up a guitar and think, oh, this is and it's not it, and it took me a long time to find that because
Yeah.
same thing. When I lived in DC, we had this music shop, and they were fantastic. It was right outside where we lived. It was called Island Music. So if anybody's around La Plata, Maryland, they're really good. And I got my fretless electric, and I love that thing. But I've played other fretless, and like you said, you know, like I know on that guitar exactly where I got to get
Right.
to hit that note. I pick up another fretless, I might be more towards the neck, more towards it. Just it meshed. Like I know exactly. I know where to play that guitar.
I know I've heard this countless times from Roger Horde. Shout out to Roger.
Shout out Roger. Get him
But
in
Roger
sync.
has always said the guitar, you don't pick the guitar picks you.
Yeah.
And that is, I mean, there's a lot of truth. I mean, granted, you go, okay, that looks good. And then you put it in your hands and it's like, that's the one. It's comfortable that I can play on this. This feels just like part of me. And then it's
There's
time to take it home.
There's always a scene on the Harry Potter series where he goes into a wand shop and the guy puts the wand in his hand and he goes, oh, like moment.
That's it.
Yeah.
So,
Because I like even when I started playing with Matt, I think I had a half stack Marshall, so obviously I can't. If you bring this out, so like we went in and talked to Roger about the sound I needed. We talked to him about the set list and sound, and he showed me that the 1968 reissue, and it's like I couldn't go online, pick out an amp, get it, be like, oh, this is not the sound I want, send it back, and you know, I mean,
one time I've bought a guitar new online, and that was way back in 89, 90. I bought a Carvin, and that's I think you've seen my Carvin,
Yeah,
and I still have it, and it's a little different than anything else I would play now, and it's the only it's such an offshoot from everything else I have. It's the only guitar I got with an ebony board. It's the only guitar I got with 24 frets. It's the only guitar I got with a trim. So it's a total different feel. It's real light. It was my my shredding guitar for forever. I played that thing 3-4 nights a week out down Marietta Parkersburg area. So yeah, it got a lot of work.
yeah,
Yeah, I swing into your place every chance. I want to get another electric bass, and same thing. Like I walk in, it's just not like nothing's just jumping off the wall saying, you know, like you said, where it goes, like pick me, and it's just but you know, I'll get there. And,
But the nice thing is we got a room just totally dedicated to bass.
right,
So you just walk in, and then you can maybe hear it go, ah.
yeah. As I walked out, and the one guy that was sitting there, he goes, you know, naturally, well, I shouldn't say that. There was one that went, and you know, it's like $2,900. So,
it's always that, yeah.
of
Of course, they're going to, oh,
and my wife would have been like,
See if you can make that sound.
but yeah, like I said, I want to get one, but it's got to be like when I see it, I'm like, yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Everything, all the sun, moon, stars have to line up. And
Yeah.
it just has to
And like
be
I
one.
said, my acoustic is an Ibanez, my electric is Fender, and it's just like I'm not set to one.
Right. Oh, I know that feeling.
Yeah.
My acoustic is a Dean, and I've got a Fender bass. I've got an LTD guitar. I have an Epiphone. Now 2 guitars. So it's like and a Carvin guitar. So it's like I'm totally not destined to one company. So.
I had an upright electrical, and it was Dean,
Oh, okay.
and I love that thing. But I traded it to a guy for a digital drum set, which now I'm kicking myself in the hiney. But I was trying to self-teach myself how to play drums to go from bass to drums, and like, yeah, this will work, and because I can put headphones on and everybody just hears me hitting the pads at the house. I don't drive everybody crazy.
No,
But
I do have a digital. I have an electronic drum kit, but I hardly ever play it. It's, And then I always take my acoustic kit out, which is a Ludwig kit, and I've had it for 23 years, 24 years.
And the only reason I've never gotten an acoustic set is I just ignorance. One, I don't know how to tune them.
I get that.
And I don't know why that scares the hell out of me to try and figure out how to tune this, make sure this is tight, put these little sticker things here, and but I think if I had like somebody like, hey, it's not that hard, really, it isn't. This you just got to do this, and and once you learn that, but you know, it's one of those things where I just
There's always YouTube.
So, but the thing
that's
is,
what everybody tells me.
Yeah, but the same thing is like, you know, when you have somebody like for you that plays an acoustic set for this long, you know, hey, this is what you need. You really, and I can go on YouTube. He was like, yeah, just put it in, and it might be way off, and
yeah.
so yeah, just being afraid. I'd love to have a full acoustic set. But
Mine. That's the crazy thing about if I'm playing guitar or drums, I mean, or guitar or bass or even keys, I can practice. Either headphones or whatever. I'm just sitting there low volume, whatever. Drums, awful hard to practice. I can't
Yeah.
fit them in my living room, and they're too loud, and the neighbors would complain, and I would get phone calls. And so,
and I was even looking at one of the little pads, like you see Jason Bottom plays. That
Yeah.
little pad
Oh,
where you,
yeah.
Like, and
Yeah.
I was thinking like when we do 2x4s, if there's a song that has like more drums than anything, and I know you're playing bass and kick, and I can just kind of add
Yeah.
to it.
yeah.
But same thing, I have no idea what I'm looking for. I go online and you give me the top 10. I can go to 10 different sites and I'm going to
Yeah.
see 100 different pads.
It's probably the one I think he uses, or the one I see is the Octopad.
Yeah.
I see Roland has an Octopad.
Roland.
They've had that for years, so it's not depreciated in value or anything, so it's still a good thing.
So, how can I keep my damn G string on my Les Paul in tune?
And let's we had an old Gibson rep, and he goes, "You guys need anything else or anything?" I'm like, "Yeah, can you get them to cut the G string slot right on the nut?" And he just looks at me, shakes his head, and walks. So at one point, they were putting out specs on what the G slots were cut at.
Uh-huh.
And when I got to the G, it said 15 thousandths. I'm like, 15 thousandths? I'm like a 9 set has a 16 and a 10 has a 17. There isn't anything unless you're going down to eighths and you're BB King or you're Billy Gibbons.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's a matter of, most of the times I would say it's a matter of just cutting the slot right. And
Yeah.
but it will wear, but everything. I have seen, and I think I put one on Gage's Les Paul, is that string butler.
The Butler, yeah.
I've been kind of thinking about getting one of those and doing that because I'm thinking that wouldn't, because the strings would come straight down and
Yeah.
they wouldn't wear into the nut slots at an angle, and it might work out better. So I've been thinking about that too. So I
Yeah.
can see the idea of that one.
I know you took care of my dad's Epiphone because like every gig he had, he was busting a G string, and and he brought it down to you, and now it's like butter, but
You talk about busted strings. It reminds me. You know who Paul Shear is?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, Paul's been playing forever around, and there was one night I ended up at Undo's at the time in Elm Grove.
Okay.
And before that, like 3 days before that, he come into the shop and he has an old Area Pro 2 guitar, and he says, "I keep breaking the string all the time on there." I'm like, Paul, I said, "Look at these saddles." I said, "They're all ate up," and I said, "You need to change them."
Yeah.
And at the time, our Graphtec saddles were out, but I said, "You just need to change the saddles." Yeah. I mean, I'll try to get around to it and everything. So like fast forward 2-3 nights later, he's playing with his 3-piece band at Undo's. I'm in the back, like in the dark, like far away from the stage. And third song in, he breaks a string. And the bass player, which is the bass player in Sure Shot, Chris, shout out to Chris Fails.
Shout out, Chris.
And so he goes, "Yeah, I seen you broke another string." And Paul goes, "Yeah, I just don't understand everything." And I yell out from the back, "If you change the damn saddles, you wouldn't have this problem." He goes, "T-Bone?" So
you're like, I know a guy that can do that for you.
yeah, I was like, I know somebody. So, but he it's like anybody else. You learn.
Yeah.
It happens.
One of the first times you filled in a band I was playing, I think it was Matt at Dot Fest.
Dot Fest, I played drums.
Yeah, upstairs at River City, and it was
Yeah.
funny because I panicked because it might have been 10 minutes before we went on. I panicked because I go into my case and I'm like, I packed the wrong SG. I have an Epiphone that I usually use, and then I just had like a Silvertone like from years ago. I pick up Silvertone. I'm like, oh no, this isn't. The electronics is bad on this. And Tim goes, I got my solder kit. We got 10 minutes. Let's do this. Before we even got on stage. Like, if not, yeah.
So that's what it's like to have a traveling guitar tech.
Yeah.
You got to experience it firsthand.
Yeah, I'm trying to. convince Gage we need to hire a guitar tech because I'm trying to play more acoustic and more slide. I'm like,
I seen you at the last gig play more acoustic.
yeah, yeah. He's getting so much better at leads. He's. I mean, he switched that telly. It's giving him that Paisley sound, and
Yeah.
he's real comfortable with solos now. I'm like, let me be the acoustic in the background. But what I want to do is add a lot more slide to it. I'm like, if we just had a tech that could switch to like open D, open G, open E for me, like in between songs.
Hey, just hand me the guitar and there you go.
Yeah.
That's like nights I go to play out, and I'll be like, man, if I only had a tech. Kevin will look at me. I'm like, okay.
Listen, I envy both of you guys because you guys get to play multiple bands on your playing live, and it's I love to see it, especially now that thanks to Doug Boston and Rager, more so Rager because we're together a lot. But when we first started playing, he'd say names, and I have no idea who these people were. Now that I'm putting faces and names and hearing the stories, and it's just like
Me and Doug have known each other for years.
Yeah.
I mean, I was playing in a band called Adina, playing drums for them, probably in 95, 96. And we ended up practicing Doug's. I played on Doug's drum set. I remember that. And it had like the Confederate flags.
Yeah.
And I'm like, am I playing on this? Well, yeah, it'll play. It'll be fine. I'm like, okay. So
Where are we playing this?
where are we playing this at? I'm not dragging this out. You forget it. I'm like, no.
What genre do you like playing? Like if you had to choose.
Oh man. Gosh, I think sometimes it depends on the instrument.
Okay, yeah.
Guitar, I love playing rock stuff, and I played in metal and played metal stuff. Drums, my gosh, drums probably rock country stuff is great. Love train beats. Bass, funk stuff, soul stuff. That because there's a lot of running bass stuff. It's a blast. So yeah, I mean it is what it is. It just this will be a stupid thing. I'll throw this out real quick. But I played with Matt, and it ended up being one of the biggest gigs I ever played at.
Uh-huh.
And it was at Stage AE in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
And we were opening up for David Nail. And of all the stupid things, I played keys that night.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I know. And it was the same day they had I think it was Florida State versus Pitt. So there were like thousands of people there.
Man.
And here I am playing keys. I'm like, okay. And then got done, and then David Nail comes up, and it started raining. So, sorry, David.
Same thing happened to us at Hartford County Fair. We were opening up for Frankie Ballard, and it was a big, like, torrential downpour, ruined, like, I think it was $30,000 worth of equipment.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, at Hartford County Fair.
Wow.
And then I felt bad for him because as we were done, he was on a different stage. He came out on our stage to apologize. Boo! Just because he had to cancel. I'm like, oh, it's so mean. What do you want him to do?
Yeah, that's tough. And I know, like I said, one thing. It's sometimes it's not about like what you play, but who you play with. And like I said, I played with my dad and one of his best friends, Gary McClish, who's passed, and then I played with him in Reflections, and it was folk, and then it was kind of like 50s, 60s kind of gumdrop kind of stuff, which as a drummer is mind-numbing. However, I got to jam with my dad. And
Well,
that's one of the coolest. Like I said, it was just, there'd be times I'd be back and it's just simple.
Yeah.
And I'd try to throw a thing in, and it was just like, but yeah, it was, it definitely wasn't my music. But
Yeah.
every time when I get frustrated or bored, I look up and I'm like, how many guys could say that? Like,
Yeah. Now, see, my dad never played music. He
Yeah.
didn't play any instruments or anything like that. My dad loved music. And the one thing I remember, having that connection with my dad was at one point CA House had a CA House show.
Yeah.
And we played at the Town Gate. And awesome show. Everybody it was like all for one for all.
Right.
We did 2 sets, had an intermission in between time. Place was packed. My dad was there. When my dad didn't ever come see me play a whole lot. So it was interesting. And it happened to be the week before that, Kevin comes up and says, "Hey, I'm not playing drums on anything. Can I play drums on something?" I'm like, "I guess. I mean, we're pretty much set in stone, but
Yeah.
what do you want to do?" And I told Raj, I said, "You know Sultans of Swing?" And he said, "Yeah, I played it several times." I said, "Okay." I said, "Kev, you go play drums. I'm going to come out front and I'm going to play guitar, and
Uh-huh.
I'm going to sing it." My dad is a huge Dire Straits fan, and Sultan Swing is probably his favorite
That
tune of
might be
all
my
time.
that might be my
Yeah.
favorite tune as well.
So that was nervous enough. So I get up there and we switched around and everything. And I go up to the microphone and I see my dad and I look at him and I said, "Listen, don't heckle me." And he just looked at me and went like that, which I mean, that was his way of telling me, "Don't screw this up."
Yeah.
So, but that was a blast. He said, "Yeah, it sounded pretty good," which getting that to come up from my dad, that was a
Yeah.
pretty big
Yeah.
deal.
And,
So,
like I said, my bass in music, I mean, it comes from my dad and the bands that he was in and playing, and just growing up, it was, if it has strings, my dad can play it. He played 5 string, he played bass, which he absolutely despises my fretless. He said, "Don't ever hand me that thing ever again." But I remember when I was younger, my mom bought him a banjo for Christmas, and he had on vinyl how to play the banjo. I just knew that I never wanted to play the banjo in my life. But he, like I said, he's. I mean, my love of music definitely comes from him, that household, because it was always, I don't care where we were at, what we were doing, that radio was always up. If my mom had it on, my dad playing, and even now when we do acoustic karaoke, or when I was playing with Matt, or if I was another band, he'd be there every time. And like I said,
yeah.
that's just that's cool. Like I said, and all the times that I can say that I got to jam with my old man.
Now my mom would come out and see me a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
She was always happy. "What are you going to play tonight?" I'm like, "I don't know, Mom. We just kind of fly by the seat of our pants." Like, "Well, I'll bet it's good." I'm like, "Okay, yeah, it's going to be great."
yeah, and like I said, it's because I see his family come out and they get excited, and
Yeah.
it's just, it's like I said, sometimes it's not what you're playing, it's who you're playing for or
For
with
Hmm.
that makes all the difference in the
yeah,
world. And
I've been fortunate to.
Yeah.
My gosh, I've been playing for out in front of 40 years, so I've had the chance to play with a lot of really cool people doing a lot of really cool music, and that I never thought I would ever do. So
And that's
yeah,
it's such a big thing, like the difference between like we were talking about earlier, like CA House and then like an online music store is like I need to see other professional musicians when I'm getting equipment and talking about music. I want to go in and see like where you guys playing at, where everybody's gigging at. I want
yeah.
to if I want to buy something, I want to have Roger or whoever like help me out to pick it.
And yeah, I mean, we all like, talk to each other. "Hey, have you played this song before?
Yeah.
How did it go over? Hey, what did you do in the second verse?" I mean,
yeah,
that happens. I mean,
Yeah.
and we were talking about the song by John Mayer, "Waiting for the World to Change,"
Yeah.
and there's that middle part in there, and it's just such a weird thing, and it's hard to get a grasp on what everything is like. The notes are revolving around, and it's a really weird feel, and then it comes
Uh-huh.
out of it, and then you're back in the groove, and
Hmm.
I wanted to go see Dead and Company when they come through. I wanted to go so bad, and we've talked about this, and my wife is. I'm like, "You want to go see the Grateful Dead?" She was like, "Not really." But if you want to go, I'll go. And
yeah.
I'm like, but
No.
I know it's not the Dead, but and even a friend of mine was like, "Yeah, but they got John Mayer playing." I'm like, he's a phenomenal guitar. Like
Yeah.
that's not a
That's not a,
downgrade.
that, no, it's
Yeah.
not.
John
Yeah.
Mayer playing just because he had a couple pop hits. It wasn't like your cup of tea, but
Was Bruce Hornsby playing with them too?
no, I don't think he was there in Pittsburgh.
Man, that would have been
He
cool.
might have picked up some gigs on the route, but I know he wasn't playing it up there. But I got to see the Dead with Jerry years
Oh,
ago, and
yeah.
so that's it's like we talked earlier. I've seen so many great bands, original lineups, sometimes not, but I mean it's just
Right.
I've been so fortunate, and for as much as I love music, and it's and this area is huge for it. I
Yeah.
don't think people really
Yeah.
realize how big.
Yeah, I mean, or how well, I mean, how big it used to be too. I mean, we were talking the other day about how many bars there were, like just in that
Just
one
down that
stretch,
street,
just
yeah.
right down Main Street.
Yeah, we
and you were playing.
friend of mine, Eric, and I, we come down and we were seeing. I don't even remember the name of the bar. Peter Criss was playing in this bar.
I remember that because he was promoting his new solo album.
Yeah, it was just some little hole in the wall bar.
Really?
It wasn't the Down Under.
I think it was. I think now that you said that, that rings a bell.
It
But
might have been
I will
Down
tell you
Under.
this: that was the one time where I and if Peter Chris is listening, I'm still mad.
I'll tag him. I'll clip it and tag him.
Little hole in the wall bar. We go there, and a friend of mine, shout out to Dave McFerrin. He a big music fan. Got me into a lot of stuff through high school and stuff, and so we shoot down there and we see him, and we're like, oh, we'll go around back, catch him as he comes out. No, Dave and I go around back. It's literally Dave and I in a limo. That's it. Guy opens the door, sees me and Dave standing there, slams the door.
Yeah.
They open it up. Peter's got a coat over his head, runs down the steps and gets in the limo.
Did we know what you look like now?
And we're
Or is it
like, and we're looking at each other like, and a guy opens up the sunroof. He goes, "Do you want him to sign something?" We're good, and thanks. Yeah, you couldn't stop and say,
Yeah.
"Hey, thanks for cutting." No, he had to run down there, coat over his head like he was fighting through like the Beatles in their height when
Yeah.
they played Shea Stadium for two guys with bad mullets standing in the parking lot of the Down Under and Wheeling, and I was just like, no, that's.
What was the best show you ever seen? With opener and headliner together. I'm just curious because I know who I would say.
Who would
for
you
me.
say?
I went and seen in Pittsburgh. I went and seen Rush and Mr. Big
Okay.
open, and that was
Never got to see Rush.
completely awesome.
Never got to
And
see
I'm praying to
Rush.
God Mr. Big comes around on because they're doing the big finish tour, and I
Oh,
want to
nice.
see them
Like
play.
original lineup.
They have everybody,
Billy on bass?
but Billy's on bass, Paul's on guitar, Eric, but the drummer Pat Torpey passed away
Yeah.
here a few years. So they've got one of my favorite drummers to play. The guy, his name is Nick DiVirgilio. I don't know if you know him. He works
think
for
so.
Sweetwater a lot of times. He lives in Indiana, but he was, I know years ago he was Tears for Fears' drummer. He was
okay,
the drummer
yeah.
for the band Spock's Beard. He's also for another band I listen to called Big Big Train. He's a phenomenal drummer. He can sing. That's they say this is the guy we need to get, and they got him. It sounds. I've heard some preliminary stuff. It sounds awesome.
What would be yours?
I was really impressed when I saw Metallica Death Magnetic tour. Lamb of God and Gojira opened up for them. It was a really good metal show. Also, Ironton also opened up for Red Hot Chili Peppers. That might be performance wise, but if we're talking like the biggest like crowd participation, like the most bumping music, I was in Vegas when Damian Marley was partying when he came out with a song with Skrillex, and I'll tell you what,
Wow, that's different.
as far as like a party atmosphere, it was wild. I never seen anything like it.
Wow.
First thing is, Monsters Rock, Metallica, Guns N' Roses, and it was Faith No More. Three River Stadium was. We were down
Oh,
on
you
the
always
floor.
talk about that.
That was great, but I probably would say, Hell Freezes Over, the Eagles.
Oh wow.
Yeah, acoustic.
Yeah, that show was. I mean, it was just, and they were there. But and like I said, I was fortunate. I worked, quote unquote, worked there. But I saw both shows back to back, and so I literally got paid to see them. But they were just fantastic. And then, that's probably the one I'm really gonna go with. Now, like I said, there was Kiss shows that were fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
Just to see the Eagles after they broke up, and they had Don Felder there and everybody, and it was just that was, I'd say, the Eagles.
I think all four times I went and see Kiss, there was a different opener.
Yeah.
I think Ken
Yeah.
Nugent opened up one, which was awesome.
Yeah.
Kicks
Yeah.
They opened up. They were great live.
Yeah. What was Blow My Fuse was
Yeah.
a big
Yeah.
album. Yeah.
It was killer. They were. It was supposed to be King Cobra, which was
Oh.
Carmine Appice or Appice, depending
Yeah.
on who you talk
Yeah.
to. It was his band that was supposed to play, and they couldn't make it or canceled or whatever, and they brought in Kix, and Kix was great. They were great live. So
And I'd seen Great White like 3 or 4 times, and thanks to, like I said, my friend Dave McFerrin, he was friends with the drummer Audie Desborough. So we'd be backstage and stuff, and it was Jack Russell, and they they put on a good show. But yeah, if I had to say end all be all one show, I'd say Eagles.
Yeah.
that when you said Great White, I mean, I just do you remember the whole deal with Great White and the club caught on
Yeah.
fire?
Yeah.
Okay. So I was in tongue in cheek at the time. Yes, I was in tongue in cheek, and I was in there, and they were opening for Jack Russell at the steel mill,
Uh-huh.
and I heard
Because now there's Great White and there's Jack Russell's
was Great White.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So Jack Russell was doing a solo thing. I think he had maybe another guitar player with him, but it was doing. So we get up there and we play. And then the sound man, at some point before Jack Russell gets up there, starts playing "We Didn't Start the Fire" by Billy Joel, and I just went
Oh man.
like, "Yes!" And Eric Dulick is like going, "Dude, you gotta stop! You can't." play that." So I was like,
Wow.
"Okay." So
And, he's like, oh, they'll think it's funny.
Yeah.
When you're getting drugged out by
yeah.
The steel mill had some cool like 80s. I remember they had Kip Winger come.
I played.
One
Yeah, I
time.
was on stage with Kip at one time. I played bass, which is scary enough because that's Kip's instrument.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you're playing bass, trying to play 17 and easy come, easy go, and he's just like, he's like looking at you. I'm like,
Could you imagine if you tried to release 17 today?
you'd go to
Oh,
jail.
yeah,
It's like-
immediately, yeah.
Or like Christine 16 from Kiss.
If
Yeah,
that doesn't scream grooming. I don't know what it.
we talked about the song by Benny Mardones. I'd take you into the night. She's just 16 years old. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, back that up, man. That's a felony.
Yeah.
That's not. I like pina coladas.
When,
That's 6 to 10 minimum.
Yes. With sharing a cell with a big 400 name pudding. Yeah, you're not having it.
when Kip came to the steel mill, my buddy is a Belmont County sheriff and pulled him over for speeding, and he pulled the "Do you know who I am?" Like, I was like, "I just graduated college. I do not." I'm
No,
sorry.
I don't know. Who you are.
Who? Kip? What?
And Kip's just like he's like 5'6" or something.
Yeah.
He's just a real short guy. So
But yeah, like I said, it's good to see. Hopefully the Civic Center or Civic Arena or West Banco
Yeah.
Arena, whatever we're calling it.
Yeah.
But, it's always going to be Wheeling Civic Center. Like it's always going to be Star Lake.
right.
But it's good to see that they're starting to get.
They're starting to bring some acts in there and try to get the interest back in. It'd be nice if they'd, and I hate to say this, but it would be nice if they'd get that mess cleaned up.
Yeah.
in
Right.
Wheeling.
I'm hoping. I think once they get that,
Yeah.
war zone cleaned up.
That'll be cool because I don't know how people are even getting to see anything at the Capitol.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm just like, but hopefully they get everything straightened around and that'll be cool.
I know my wife and I took my mom to go see Travis Tritt down there, and it was him, stage, and acoustic guitar, and it was great. It was a great show. I've been a fan of Travis Tritt, but until you see them like that on their own, just them, and you actually see how talented
Right.
that they really are, I have a lot of respect.
Yeah.
So
Hopefully everything lifts and people see the businesses coming in and hopefully jump on it too. And it'd be nice. Could you imagine if there was like a strip like Nashville right down Wheeling, you could see like
go bar to bar.
bar to
Oh,
bar,
yeah.
like in the window, see your
That would
buddies
be
and bands
awesome.
playing.
I mean,
yeah.
and that's kind of the way it used to be.
Yeah.
And then somewhere along the lines,
Yeah.
it didn't stay that way.
So like you said, and we've had people sitting in here that are talking about, they're going to open this place, they're going to open this place, and this is coming, and this is coming, and it might be 5 years, but I'm like you, I don't think that's far off to say that.
No,
It could
not
be
really.
It could be like Nashville Junior, where you're just walking out and
Right.
No, and every year it could be one or two businesses
Yeah,
that, like
you could have
coming in.
Josh
And
playing a
it's-
solo set here. You could have, you know,
And as
someone
much
here.
history as Wheeling has with the music
Yeah.
industry,
Yeah.
I mean, sheesh, it should be. It's like a no-brainer. It's
Right.
like it just happened.
Yeah, so hopefully and I think I really do think it's going to take off that way. And it'd be great to see. It would be great to see, especially like we had Louis the 13th in here. You could have one club that's doing hip hop and DJ, and you could go down and see
Oh,
a
yeah.
solo act like Josh, or you could go down and you'd see, you know, Gage playing, or
Yeah.
then you could see,
Or you can see Sure Shot and Funkbilly.
Yeah, you could see that
Well, it's
too.
going to suck for you if they're both playing the same night.
Yeah, I'll be jumping back and forth. Hey, can you take a break
Down
when I'm
the
playing with
street.
this
Yeah,
other one?
let me know. If I don't cramp up, I'll pick up drums or I'll play bass in one of them. Just let me know.
So before we let you go, do you want to plug those dates? It'd be not this coming weekend, the next one. Yeah,
Well,
after
let's
that.
see. This weekend is Friday night is Sure Shot at Woodsfield VFW. Funkbilly is at Claire Tavern. Let's see. Next week, boy, I have to look because next week I know I'm playing Saturday and Sunday. Yeah. Saturday is Sure Shot at El Gran Patron.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're like probably the one band that maybe could fit in El Gran Patron, and it's an awesome time. We love playing there. And then Sunday, they're having a Sunday fun day at Duffy VFW down near Sardis, and that'll be Funkbilly playing there. Yeah, just go to Chris Fales' Facebook page. He's got both bands out there, and he's got all the scheduling. So
Look up Sure Shot and Funkbilly with Chris Fales.
And then
Check them where they're at.
10th Street Tavern, when this drops, we will be playing that Friday at Black Sheep.
Yeah,
On the
2x4s.
2x4
Yeah.
will be playing at the Black Sheep on, was that the 25th?
Last Friday of the
Last
month.
Friday of the month, so acoustic karaoke. So we'll be playing there.
love
when this
playing
drops,
Black
so
Sheep. Black Sheep's awesome.
Oh,
It
yeah.
is. It's a good time. Especially, like, it's slow when we start, and then once the bottles of wine start flowing,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
when they start flowing like the salmon of Capistrano, then you get people up there and and plus we'll get to see your brother's home.
Yeah.
So we'll get him on
Military.
stage and
The amount of stories I have from fans of ours that come that are primarily beer drinkers when they come to the Black Sheep and they start getting a couple bottles of Bonnie in.
and that's what we try to tell people. Again, if you're gonna come see us next Friday, get there early, drink your first bottle of wine. So by the time we start playing, you'll get up with
loosey-goosey.
courage and
Yes.
loosey goosey, and then you can go up there and sing Quiet Riot and whatever you want to sing. But
Yeah.
And in the meantime, if your guitar breaks, if you need a repair quick, come see this guy at CA House.
Absolutely, yeah.
Tim, thank you for coming and talking to us. I really appreciate it.
We have to do this again.
Yeah,
Absolutely,
absolutely.
Yeah, we have to do that.
Oh, cool.
So maybe we can launch some live music.